All right, let's get down a little more detail when it comes to AP style, specifically addresses, states, and titles. So AP style basics say that addresses, we abbreviate avenue, boulevard, and street only with a numbered address. So one of the ways to remember it is CARD, C-A-R-D. Those are the things that we do not ever abbreviate: circle, alley, road, and drive. We're going to lowercase and spell out when we use more than one. So if we, example here, Massachusetts and Pennsylvania avenues, we'd lowercase that. And then we'd use figures for all addresses, even if it's below 10. So here's an example for you: 3 Cleveland Road. And I want you to think about, if it was 3 Cleveland Avenue, would you or would you not abbreviate it? Now, other basics, we spell out and capitalize first through ninth when we use it as a street name. So the example here is 3rd Avenue. But we're using figures with 2 letters for 10 and above. So we're going to do 22nd Street, 21st Street, etc. We abbreviate compass points to indicate direction, and we spell them out if there's no number. So example here, 222 East 42nd is abbreviated, West 43rd Street would not be. And then we spell out interstate on first reference, such as Interstate 81, but second, we don't have to spell it out. Now, how about we look at states? Now, this has actually gotten to be much more simplistic. It used to be there was a whole string of state abbreviations you had to memorize, but what you need to know now is we don't abbreviate any states. So whether it's Columbus, Ohio, which of course Ohio is very short, we've never abbreviated that, or Sacramento, California, you're going to spell out the state in all of the cases, no matter when you're using the state. Now the question is, do you use the state or not? And in fact, there's actually several cities that you do not need the state, and this is the list of them. So there's not too many other San Franciscos, for example, so we don't have to use a state for that one. The same thing with Chicago, Cincinnati. There are other Columbuses, which is why we use Columbus, Ohio in that case. Now let's take a look at titles. This, of course, is John Kasich, governor of the great state of Ohio. So in the event that we identify Governor Kasich with the governor before his name, we are going to capitalize it and abbreviate it. President Bill Clinton, we would put the capitalization, but we would not abbreviate it. There's no abbreviation for president, but there is for governor. You'd have to look that up under titles. Now, a title that follows a person's name, they are always spelled out, but they are not capitalized. So the example here would be John Kasich, governor of Ohio, and notice that governor is spelled out, John Wallbanger, director of the Urban League, and the president. So in the case of identifying, for example, Barack Obama, we would say on second reference just the president. Now, other titles, we don't use courtesy titles. So that would be Mr., Mrs. You'll notice in the New York Times that they do that, but that's New York Times style. We use the first and last name with whatever identifying factors on first reference in a story, so the first time you mention this person, but subsequently you only need to have their last name. If you have 2 people with the same name, use their first and last name all the time. Now, how about some compositions? Place in quotes these things, so titles of books, movies, plays, poems, etc. The Bible and reference books are the exception. We do not put them in quotes. Now, what about magazine titles? We capitalize the first word and all principal words of a composition title. So, for example, she watches Law and Order, he's reading The Hunger Games. Again, both of those things would be put into quotes, but we would capitalize them as indicated. Capitalize the titles of magazines and newspapers, but we do not put quotes or underlines when doing that. So here's the example here. I read USA Today. He subscribed to Time magazine.